Airborne forces are military units moved by fixed-wing aircraft and helicopters and dropped into battle, typically by parachute, normally deployed over long distances and in short time. Airborne forces typically lack supplies for prolonged combat and are much better equipped to secure an airhead than for long-term occupation of an area. They also typically lack heavily armoured vehicles, meaning they try to avoid engagements with armoured formations. Advances in helicopter technology have brought increased flexibility to vertical assaults, and helicopter air assaults have largely replaced parachute insertion. Despite the protection and sustainment challenges, light air mobile infantry can deliver a very significant combat effect if used correctly. Salutations. Today's briefing, China's elite airborne forces, structure and equipment. Unlike US and Russian airborne forces, the PLA's airborne troops are part of the Air Force. Originally called the 15th Airborne Corps, it was renamed the PLA Air Force Airborne Corps in 2017, at the same time changing the divisional structure to independent brigades within the Corps. The Airborne Corps now consists of 6 airborne brigades, a Special Operations Brigade, an Aviation Brigade, and a Support Brigade. The PLA Airborne Corps' main purpose is to carry out both airborne and air assault operations. These operations are designed to support main force operational efforts, seize and hold key targets and areas in the enemy's depth, such as airfields and bridges, block an enemy's retreat, block reinforcement by enemy reserve forces, and conduct raids on key targets in the enemy's depth. So what does a PLA Air Force Airborne Battalion look like? The core of any airborne unit is the quality and quantity of its light infantry. The basic formation in the PLA's airborne units, the section or squad, has 9 or 10 infantry, possibly varying depending on the specific unit's specialisation. Weapons in the section normally include 2 light machine guns and 2 93mm thermobaric rocket launchers, and possibly a 60mm mortar. While the airborne troops typically aren't equipped with large numbers of vehicles, the PLA makes significant use of light all-terrain vehicles such as the Lynx 8x8. It is particularly useful for carrying heavy equipment, including communications equipment. For reconnaissance troops, including their sensors and UAVs, and for assault pioneers or engineers, all of which require heavier equipment than a standard infantry section. Versions of the Lynx are also likely utilised as artillery tractors and for logistic support. The Lynx is also useful as a carrier for heavy crew-served weapons, including 12.7mm heavy machine guns, 35mm automatic grenade launchers, anti-tank guided missiles, man-portable air defence systems, and mortars. The Airborne Infantry Company consists of a headquarters with a commanding officer, second in command, a political instructor, a deputy political instructor, a chief of staff, and 5 additional troops. It is made up of 3 infantry platoons, each of 3 sections, and a weapons platoon with 35mm automatic grenade launchers and 60mm mortars, or heavy machine guns if the mortars are part of the section squad's weapons. The Airborne Battalion consists of 3 of these companies: a support company with engineers, reconnaissance, air defence if it's not part of the weapons company, maintenance and logistic support, and a separate weapons or fires company. The weapons company composition depends on how light the battalion needs to be, but can include self-propelled 82mm gun mortars. The PCP-001 can provide direct fire support out to 1,000 metres and indirect fire support out to 8,000 metres. While not as capable as the 120mm gun mortars found in the heavier combined arms brigades, see separate briefings linked below, it provides a very useful capability for airborne battalions. An anti-tank capability is provided through the HJ-8 anti-tank guided missiles, which have a range of up to 3,000 metres, and a multi-role platoon with 105mm recoilless guns, which can provide direct fire support out to 1,500 metres and indirect fire support out to 7,500 metres. Both these systems are mounted on a light utility vehicle. The weapons company then could include 1 platoon of mortars, 1 platoon of anti-tank guided missiles, and 1 platoon of recordless guns. It might also include man-portable air defence platoon if it is not part of the support company. Heavier firepower is available at the brigade level, which can include the PH-63 107mm multiple launch rocket system and the PL-96 122mm howitzer. The Airborne Brigade's artillery battalion covers the same capabilities as other PLA artillery battalions, but with lighter weapon systems and in smaller numbers. The brigade's air defence assets likely include 25mm and or 35mm guns, augmenting the man-portable air defence systems found in the infantry battalions. With the lack of vehicles in the formation, the logistic support vehicles are critical. The brigade has the Lynx 8x8 all-terrain vehicles and can also be equipped with a tracked logistics support vehicle based on the ZBD-03 chassis. An airborne brigade then comprises 4 infantry battalions, a reconnaissance battalion, artillery battalion, air defence battalion, a combat support battalion and a service support battalion, and possibly a transport battalion. The transport battalion would likely be equipped with the EQ 2050 unarmoured or CSK 131 or 141 armoured vehicles. The Airborne Corps also operates the ZBD-03 Airborne Infantry Fighting Vehicle, a very lightly armoured vehicle armed with a 30mm gun, an anti-tank guided missile, and 5 dismounts. It is possible that the ZBD-03s equip independent transport units to be allocated as required to the airborne brigades, or they could be organic to an infantry company, forming a mechanised infantry company. A mechanised infantry company might be organised as follows, noting 2 ZBD-03s would be needed for each infantry section or squad, 2 specialised armoured command vehicles in the headquarters, 3 platoons, each of 6 vehicles carrying both the 3 sections and the platoon headquarters, and 2 vehicles for the weapons platoon. As mentioned earlier, the airborne infantry might paradrop from large airlifters such as the Y-20, IL-76 or the Y-8s and 9s, although the PLA is still building its limited numbers of these platforms. The Airborne Corps also makes use of light tactical transports such as the Y-12 for small unit insertion over long ranges. The paratroopers can also drop from the Airborne Corps' Z-8 helicopters. However, the standard airborne troop insertion by helicopter will be the air assault, currently with the Z-8Ks, but moving to the Z-8Ls. Airborne troops can also be air-landed if forward air base is available, which allows for a safer delivery of troops, even if not directly to the line of contact. With the development of helicopters and the increasing number available to the PLA, air assault by helicopter has become increasingly an option, and this is true for the PLA Air Force as it develops its air assault capability. As with the PLA Ground Force, the Z-20 will form the core of this capability going forward. For larger and heavier payloads, the Air Force Aviation Brigade has the medium lift Z-8L. Again, these are only now entering service in meaningful numbers and can carry 27 combat troops and a 5,000 kilogram load. Helicopter assets to support the Air Force's transport helicopter force include the Z-19 for reconnaissance and the Z-10 for attack and fire support. The PLA Air Force's Airborne Aviation Brigade at this stage has 1 reconnaissance group with Z-19s, 1 attack group with Z-10s, and 2 transport groups with Z-20s and Z-8Ks. However, it is not clear if this aviation brigade is dedicated to a single airborne brigade or is an asset that can support any of the 6 airborne brigades. The PLA Air Force Airborne Corps headquarters are at Xiang'an, north of Wuhan in Hubei. The Corps consists of 6 combat brigades, an aviation brigade, a special operations force brigade, and a combat support brigade, which consists of communications, engineering, and chemical defence detachments. In addition to the airborne forces, the PLA also has 2 air assault brigades, the 161st Air Assault Brigade, under administrative command of the 83rd Group Army, located in the Central Theatre Command, and the 121st Air Assault Brigade, under administrative command of the 75th Group Army, located in the Southern Theatre Command. As mentioned, the Air Force has an aviation brigade located in the Central Theatre Command, and the PLA Navy Marine Corps has an aviation brigade distributed amongst its major amphibious warships. In summary, the PLA continues to develop its airborne capabilities, with the most significant deficiency being strategic transports, which is being addressed by the serial production of the Y-20 transport aircraft. Even if the airborne units do not conduct a parachute insertion, the PLA possesses a large number of light infantry units that are trained and equipped to deploy over long ranges at short notice. As with the PLA Ground Forces Air Assault Brigades, the 6 airborne combat brigades are strategic assets under operational command of the Central Military Commission, held for employment against the most critical objectives. That concludes today's briefing. Thank you for watching. Happy to take suggestions for future briefings from subscribers, so please subscribe, like and share. Until next time, Vale de Cero.